All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Valgood, and today we have Theresa Ballou. She's a yoga trainer. She's been a yoga trainer for like about 10 years. She's a personal trainer, mother, entrepreneur, and a lot of other things. Welcome, Theresa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Yes, me too. I'm a big fan of yours, I gotta say. And so tell us a little bit about your story and how you came to be a yoga instructor.
Oh, that was a long process leading up to being a yoga teacher.
Mhm.
I was in a car accident when I was pregnant with my son, my ex-husband and I. And out because of that, when I was pregnant,
Mhm.
I there was a lot of fear of being in cars and driving, and I started having panic attacks. And when you go see a doctor, their first thing they do is just give you medicine. And so they had me on antidepressants and
Oh.
all kinds of medicine. And
Mhm.
one of the doctors that I'd seen, he gave me a book called The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Buddhist monk.
Mm.
And
Okay.
it was an interesting book, but it was all about meditation and consciousness, and I really didn't grasp it or understand it until I came across, but it sparked my interest. It was enough to spark my interest.
Mhm.
And I read a book called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle,
Yes.
and it blew my mind. Have
Great
you
book.
read it?
Yes. Great book.
It's such a good book. It's such a
It is.
good book. So Thich Nhat Hanh talks about consciousness, and
Mhm.
if you're unfamiliar with something, you don't know what it is, right? But Eckhart Tolle talks about the ego. I'm like, I got that. I know what that is.
Right. Right.
I'm constantly in my head. The wheels are always turning. And
Mhm.
so, anyhow, that blew my mind. And so I got very interested in spirituality and just kind of like this new path that I want to take for myself. And now interested in being more conscious and aware. And so, I was going through a divorce, and that was, oh gosh, 6 years after my car accident. I was
Mhm.
going through a divorce, and it was really heavy. And I stumbled across Yoga on the Bluff with my dear, dear friend now. I just saw her today, Dharma Shakti.
Yay.
And yeah, she's amazing. And so, I'm in class every weekend, and I'm like, I could do this. Like, I'm going through a transformation. I've lived this transformation. Like, I could be a coach, I could be a teacher, I could help people. Like, I can do this. And so, like, while I'm in class, every single time I'm like, I can do this, I can do this. And luckily for me, they were trying to redo the floors at the yoga studio, and so they had a silent auction, and they were auctioning all kinds of things, and one of them was a teacher training. And at that point, being a newly single mom, money was really tight, not knowing what I was going to do with my life.
Right.
I went to the silent auction ready to pay for this, teacher training and get a good deal. And
Mhm.
so I paid for my teacher training $400. And I was so happy, which is inexpensive.
That
The
was a
going
good
rate
deal.
is, yeah, the going rate is about $3,000. And, being
Yeah.
a newly single mom, that was a lot of money for me. And I couldn't afford that.
Right.
And so it was one stepping stone to another that kind of just led me on that journey. And it all started with that book that doctor gave me, The Miracle of Mindfulness, that led all, up until, me becoming a yoga teacher. It was so transformative.
That is awesome. I feel like for everybody that finds the path into healing or trying to help others into healing, it always starts with like ourselves,
Yes.
right? Like something happens to us and then we're trying to heal ourselves, trying to find different ways that resonate better with us. Sometimes um, the style of Western medicine, sometimes it's not. I'm not saying it's bad because my mom, she's a registered nurse, she's retired now, but there's a way of a room for improvement there
Sure.
in a
Sure.
lot of ways. Medicine, yes, can be helpful at times, but
Absolutely.
right, but a lot of times it's not. It kind of like messes you up more than it helps you. So I
Sure.
love that you actually went deeper and actually found a different way to help yourself, whether it was for the trauma with the car accident or you didn't even know this was gonna take you to actually change career or something, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I heard someone say once, either someone will walk into your life and change it, or something drastic will happen to you and your life will change. And for me, something drastic happened. I was in a car accident that started it.
Right.
And it started my journey of self-healing and searching. And that kind of did lead to my separation of me and my ex. We both started kind of growing apart. Like I was going
Hmm.
deeper and he was, we were just both going different ways. And so for me, the divorce, really was a turning point in my life. And in the
Hmm.
moment, I couldn't see why it was a good thing, but I found myself,
Right.
just that finding myself, not, I'm not saying it was worth it, but it was worth it,
I think
to,
it's
to,
always
to
worth it.
find me. Yeah. To find me.
I think
Yeah.
whether it's a divorce or a car accident or like a physical accident, whatever it is, there's always this hidden gems for all of us, right?
Yeah.
It's just the point is like, are we taking the opportunity to get better, or are we just gonna like cry ourselves out and be like, that's the
Yeah.
end of life, right? And I
Right.
and I really love that in this case it was an awesome story like yours, that you actually took that and you were like, I'm gonna actually, I'm gonna do this for myself. You find yourself. Um, for all of our listeners, what do you think about, especially when people gets into a physical accident, whether it's at work, at anywhere, car accident, and they find themselves in that hole, right, of depression or anxiety, wherever that is, because they feel helpless. How do you think yoga might be a way to help them?
Yoga Yoga is a moving meditation. And it helps to understand that your mind is kind of like an excited little puppy or an excited little 2-year-old all over the place, right? And a lot of times when we're in depression or we have anxiety, the wheels are turning constantly. And when we do yoga, we're connecting to the breath. When you do meditation, you're connecting to the breath. When you're singing, things that make you feel good and make you lighthearted, any ways that you connect to the breath, it clears your mind. And so with yoga, it helps you physically, right? You get more mobility, you get more flexibility, more range of motion, and by just being able to move in a different and better way, in a more functional way, can be liberating. But then, so people come to yoga because they want to get more flexible, or they want to do an arm balance or a handstand, or whatever. But the gift that you get with it, that is
Mhm.
bigger than being flexible, is
Mhm.
the gift of a clear mind. Um, just to be able to think clearly and come back to your center, and be present with yourself. It really makes a difference. People, the yoga high that you get when you leave, is what they say. The yoga high is just when you
Mhm.
walk out feeling like you're floating on a cloud. I know I've done my job as a teacher if they walk out like, like I feel great.
Yes.
Sometimes after a workout, I've got my butt kicked and I have to come home and take a nap, but yoga's different. Yoga's not like that. Um, Yoga, you definitely feel like you're walking on clouds when you leave the yoga studio. And if you have that experience with a yoga teacher, that's a good teacher. You need to keep them close by.
That's yeah, you're right, because as there's really good teachers, sometimes
Yeah,
not that they're bad teachers, but you just want to find someone that actually
that resonates.
that
Yeah.
resonates with you. One really good point that you just mentioned is that we think about yoga and I guess everybody thinks yoga and it's equals like, oh, you just want to like be flexible. But you are right. This is a moving meditation that's way more than just, getting you flexible. I know part of your story, you went from 165 pounds to 110 pounds. I mean,
Yeah.
you're like super fit, which is awesome.
Thank you.
And a lot of people that might be on that heavy range might think that yoga it's not for them. what would you have to say to all these people that, they are maybe like overweight, and but they want to, they want to move, and they might think that yoga and all these spandex is not for them.
Sure, sure. I hear that a lot, or, oh, I'm too tight, yoga isn't for me. Or I don't have the right body type. I'm out of shape. Yoga isn't for me. Or yoga's for girls. I was talking
Right,
to a friend
right.
a couple days ago, and he was like, I thought yoga was easy. It was for girls, like it wasn't for me. And it completely changed his life. For the
It's
people
hard.
who Right? It is hard, it is challenging, but in a good way, in a
Yes,
liberating
yes.
way, because it is doable, it is tangible. I am Dharma, I've heard her say in many classes, um, saying that, what did she say? Yoga isn't for me, or I'm not flexible enough for yoga, is like saying you're too hungry to eat. You go there
Right.
to get flexible. You go there to get in shape. Saying you're not flexible enough for yoga is like saying you're too dirty to take a shower. That's why you go. And so,
That's great.
and
Yeah.
and everybody's worried that, everybody's worried that everybody's looking at them, or I'm not
Mhm.
doing the poses right, or I'm self-conscious about my body. But every other person that they're next to is worried about themselves, and they're thinking the same thing, unless they've been doing yoga long enough and they get it, it finally clicks,
Mhm.
and they're in the zone, they're completely present. If you're doing yoga correctly, you're not worried about anyone else around you. And so yoga can help anyone. I mean, if you overeat, if you indulge way too much and whatever it is, right? We all have our vices. And so yoga helps you to become more present and aware with yourself. And so when you go to react or to cling to something, yoga helps you to have that awareness, that presence, to be like, you know what? I don't really need those Doritos. Or you're like, you know what? I don't really need to lay around and watch Netflix. I'll go for a walk. I'll clean. I'll do something other than, the things that kind of hold me back. And so for the people who don't feel like they don't have the right body type, I mean, I encourage them to go. It's a liberating experience, and it's a transformative experience, and it'll help them change their bodies just by becoming aware, and the physical part as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think also, like for me, I started doing yoga when I was older, I guess, when I was maybe like 18, 19. That was like the first time I did yoga. And what it really, really helped me was what you said. I guess I really never thought about it, but it is moving meditation, right? And
Yeah.
what it really helped me was all these awareness that you have when you're doing yoga, as of like to breathe. Because I felt like
Hmm.
when we're doing anything, any activity on during the day, sometimes we'll hold our breath, or
Yeah.
we don't actually take a deep breath some days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that is one of the main things that yoga has for everyone. It actually, as you're doing yoga, you're taking all these deep breaths to either, in this case, to like release them, to help the muscle stretch better, or
Yeah.
I think it's very super helpful, especially because when you take all these deep breaths, you're doing it because of the physical activity, but it actually is doing a more like a more of like a emotional
Release for
release.
one.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So even like with the stress, right? So you take a deep breath, and it's been proven that it will lower your stress levels.
Yes.
Do you have a lot of people that comes to the yoga to actually focus on those topics of stress and anxiety?
Absolutely. Maybe it was recommended by their doctor or a friend. Absolutely. We have people coming because, work is stressful, life is stressful, or they have anxiety or depression, and they want to try and find a way to cope with it or manage it without medication. And so, when you're anxious, your chest is tight, your
Yes.
breath is short, and like you can't grasp control. When you're angry, your chest gets tight, you know, everything, your blood raises, like everything is just like boiling. And so yoga, when you practice that deep breathing, you're expanding your lungs, your chest opens, you know, you feel more of that freedom. And so when you practice it on your mat, when you're, you know, in a plank pose or doing a challenging warrior two, and you train your mind and your body to breathe when it's under pressure, under stress,
Hmm.
in a simple, and when I say simple yoga pose, it's actually really, you know, they're hard. um you
Yes.
know, you get big buff men who think, oh, this is going to be easy. They come in and, you know, everybody else is kicking their butts and they're like straining and struggling. So it's not that easy. But when you train yourself to breathe while you're under pressure and to expand your lungs when you're under pressure, whether you're anxious or angry or, you know, whatever it is, emotional, when you do it on your mat, it's practice for your everyday life. And then you get to use it off the mat, you know. Someone cuts you off on the freeway and you want to freak out, but you're like, no, take a deep breath, you know.
Yes.
And everything is always stimulating you in some way, whether it's a jackhammer, you know, if it's really loud. They've been doing construction at the end of my street, and you know, there's so many outside forces, you know, whether it's music or TV that you let in, and it kind of just creates this toxicity in your mind and in your body, and you kind of hang on to that, right? And so when you do yoga and you clear your mind, you're just kind of letting all that go, and you're reminded, I can always come back to this. I can use it on or off my mat.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I know that you went into yoga, and you also to to make this better, right? You actually went into, you're vegetarian.
Yes.
Yes. How has that worked with you and your yoga practice?
um you know, they kind of all go hand in hand. In
Hmm.
yoga you learn about ahimsa. Ahimsa is Sanskrit for nonviolence. And
Okay.
so you can take these things in many ways. And ahimsa directly means, you know, not to hurt another living thing. And so in yoga, it's just practicing, you know, being respectful towards all living creatures. I mean, obviously, you know, people say, well, you're harming plants. They show that plants, you know, well, yeah, in some way we're breathing in, you know, like
Right.
molecules and like all these things, right? So in some way we're harming some things, and there's some things we can't prevent, but that's one thing we can't prevent, you know. I definitely noticed a difference in just me feeling lighter and my skin being more clear, and then it just became my my religion, you know, just my it was, you know, it was just to not hurt another living being was really important to me.
Nice. And then some people might say, no, but you need protein, and especially
Sure.
also because you do you're a personal trainer too, and
I
you do
am.
all these body weight exercise and all that. You really don't need
Heavy weightlifting.
yeah,
So body
yes.
weight, yes, body weight, yes, but weightlifting is definitely
It's
a big, huge part of it, my lifestyle.
yeah, and I mean you've been doing it for a while, I think, right?
I have. You know, I don't knock anyone who eats meat.
Right,
You
right.
know, there's people who are vegetarians that shout it from the rooftops, and they want to educate people and they want to tell them about it and they want to force their agenda on them, and it's just not my style. If someone eats meat, great. I'm happy for you. You know what I mean? Like it's just my personal choice.
Right,
And
right.
I've never been that person to push, you know, I want people to be healthy. You know, if I see someone depressed and overweight, or maybe it has nothing to do with their weight, but they're just depressed because they're not getting out enough. Like I would want to motivate them to move their body in some way so that they feel good about themselves. And it doesn't have to be a physical appearance. It could just be an emotional, you know, thing for them. And so I would probably want to push that agenda on them. But as far as like all the personal choices, like it's not my business what other people do. And I'm happy to support anybody and their personal choices for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, I mean, I'm a nutritionist now, and, you know, there's a bunch of diets and lifestyles that people follows. I was a vegetarian myself for a lot of years. Um, I do eat meat, not a lot, but I will say maybe like 80% of my diet it's vegetarian. I do eat
Yeah,
certain things here and there, and I think it's, yeah,
sure.
as you said, it's like one personal choice and whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Some people claim to say that they must eat meat or whatever, and that's great. If that's what makes them feel good and their body is working properly, by all means, right? Um,
Right.
and then I know you going back to the heavy lifting. How does yoga has helped you with this heavy lifting? Because I know, like we were talking about, all these big strong men that are like, yeah, I don't do yoga. Yoga is for women. But I know a lot of athletes that, encourage to do exercise like yoga to actually have a better experience doing this other athletic forms.
Yes. I feel like I feel like having yoga in my life first and then moving into heavy weightlifting has really helped me to prevent injury,
Mm-hmm.
have more mind and body awareness. And, back when I used to get trained by coaches, they could tell me something one time and I picked it up like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also being a yoga teacher, I feel like, and now being a personal trainer, I feel like I have a leg up on other personal trainers. Sometimes I see people with really bad form being trained, or, certain things I'm just like, ooh, 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 that's going to be
That's gonna
bad.
hurt. Yeah.
That's going to hurt eventually. If they keep doing it that way, that's not going to be good for them. So I feel like I have a huge advantage as far as being a personal trainer, and being a yoga teacher for my personal practice and also training other people. But I had the realization too. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just born to do this. Like I'm giving yoga all this credit, but maybe it's just my calling. Maybe this is what I'm meant to do. Maybe I'm meant to be a yoga teacher slash, fitness guru, and just kind of like couple of it together and share it. Because if you're really tight, you see people walk
Mm-hmm.
around like this because they're really tight, and then you see
Yes.
yogis,
Yes.
they're just like super open, and some of them are too open. And so a lot of my yogis who are really flexible, I'm like, we should also work on your strength. Like that should
Right.
also be important to you. You don't want to be so flimsy and so loose that you could possibly pull your back or hurt your spine, or, throw
Mhm.
something out. And so you want to be strong, but you also want to be open. You want to have the balance of the both. And so I feel like that's something that I really bring to the table as far as a trainer and for my personal practice is I'm like, ooh, my body's getting a little tight. I've been training too hard and I'm not stretching enough or doing enough yoga, or I'm doing too much yoga and I'm getting too flexible. I need to kind of balance the two, find a nice balance between the two.
Nice. I love that. I love that. I think, what you just said, it's all about balance, just kind of like what, the teachings of yoga, we need a
Yeah.
balance in life, being strong and be too flexible. You're right. You need some sort of balance to get your body um, going for a long time. And what I love about that too is, and you brought up, is the ergonomics, or the way we do things on a daily basis. And I think yoga, it's a really good thing for us to train our body to, especially to stand straight, to actually engage our
Yeah.
abdominal muscles as we, bend or lift things. I don't know, all that.
Yeah. And detoxing, the twisting helps to twist your internal organs and move your food through. This morning, I was getting ready for work and I ate really fast because I had to go. And I was so bloated and my stomach hurt so bad. And I just started doing the twists. And, it's kind of like you're wringing it out like it's a dirty rag, or a wet rag, I should say. You know what I mean? It's kind of getting it all to evacuate or to move. And so there's just so many benefits of yoga. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard of that twisting. I do it sometimes. I wasn't sure exactly what that was. You said it's to detox. Is that what that stretch is for?
I mean, it does stretch you. So
Right.
there is more flexibility. I remember when I first started doing yoga, I looked over, after doing it for a little while, I was
Mm-hmm.
changing lanes and I had to look over to my blind spot and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like I have more range of motion here. Like my body can really move. So obviously there's range of motion that increases. but it does twist the internal organs. So part of the reason why I had an upset stomach was because I was wearing high-waisted pants, and these were a gift, and so they were a little tight.
Mhm.
They're probably a size. They were just really fitted, which was great.
It was a
They
gift.
I love them. I might would
Yeah.
have wanted a size bigger, but they were tight. And so because they were high waisted and they were tight, they cut off right where my food wanted to move through. And so
Mhm.
I ate fast, the pants were tight. I went to teach my class, and before you knew it, like my stomach was killing me. And so just being able to move and twist yourself, it kind of squeezes it and pushes it through. So even like a baby cobra where you're laying on your belly can help
Mhm.
to move your digestion. So definitely increases range of motion, but also helps with your digestion. So detoxing in that way, yes.
I love that. There's all these great benefits within
Yeah.
yoga. And what will you say to the listeners that are on the older range? And they might say, I don't want to do yoga. It looks too crazy for me. What do you think about that? And what does yoga does for our joints in this case?
Um, I would say, I mean, yoga does help to decrease inflammation, to lubricate your joints, to find
Mhm.
that mobility and that range of motion. Absolutely. And just because you're, you know, on the older spectrum doesn't mean that you
On the
can't
wider spectrum. Yeah.
the wiser spectrum, yes, there we go. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Just because you're there doesn't mean you can't experience the benefits. You absolutely can. They say you're as old as your spine is flexible. So once you start to lose range
Oh.
of motion, the body
Mhm.
starts to kind of deteriorate. It wants to shut down. Imagine you have a car and you haven't got an oil change in a long time, or you haven't, done any of the upkeep. The car starts
Mhm.
to fall apart. And so yoga really helps with all of this. And I would recommend to those people to find a yoga teacher that might come to them. Because if you're a senior and you can't get up, right? There's
Mhm.
chair yoga. You could sit in a chair and do
Oh.
yoga poses in a chair. You could, there's teachers that are qualified for these. I'm definitely known as I push hard. I
Yes.
I'm a hard teacher. I never was athletic my entire life. I never played a sport. I was too intimidated, too shy. I was never in shape. And so now that I've gotten a hold of myself and I found myself, like I want to share it with other people, and that's just how I go. And so when I train personally, I train hard, and
Mhm.
when I train my clients, I train them hard. But I also like the gentle aspect. So for someone who might be a senior, or on the wiser spectrum, or just maybe they're tight, or maybe they're pregnant, or have some sort of disability, there's yin yoga where it's very gentle, deep stretching. There's props, there's blocks, there's
Mhm.
straps, and it's very meditative, very soothing. I love actually teaching yin yoga more than any other yoga class, more than my level 2, 3, which is my hardest, more than a level 1 or an all levels, probably more than personal training. I love teaching yin. I never do it, but teaching yoga from a very gentle and present approach, it rubs off on me too. So I'm not doing the poses with them. I'm just walking them through it, but just walking them through a nice, gentle, sweet, present practice puts me in such a good place that when I leave, I feel amazing. I get a lot of that. Not that
Yeah.
I don't get that teaching a regular class.
Yeah.
I've been brokenhearted. I've been, going through a lot of stuff, and I go in and I start to teach my class, and I start to go with my Dharma talk, which is, my little inspirational portion of what I'm sharing, and then I get uplifted. So I experience it in anything, but really in yin. And so for any, well, whatever spectrum you are, whatever body type you have, there's always a yoga practice for you, for everyone.
I love that. I've never heard of that yoga. I guess on the chair. That's
Yeah.
really really great. I've seen it just kind of like as a sometimes they do for older people are in a wheelchair. They do certain exercise for them to
Hmm.
keep them moving. But I
Sure.
didn't know about the yoga part of this. That's really really great. Do you do any of them, or do you ever do any yoga for older people like that on on the chair?
I typically don't. It's not that I couldn't. I
Mm-hmm.
could definitely. brush up and learn more about it. I do know a teacher who specializes in it. Like this is her
Okay.
thing.
Right.
And so if someone came to me and wanted some recommendations, I would definitely give it. If my girlfriend said, "Hey, my mom really needs help. Can you come teach her?" I would absolutely go do it.
Right.
It's just not something I specialize in. It's not
Okay.
something that it's not my niche, I should say.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Like I didn't even know about that part of yoga, which is great because as you said, yoga, it has uh, everything for everybody, every types of life,
All
everybody,
body type.
all body types, uh, younger, older. Um, Talking about age, do you guys have you work with kids too?
Yes, they have kids yoga. I have worked with kids. Again, it's not my niche,
Hmm.
but yeah, I have, and it's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They enjoy it. The teacher enjoys it. You just kind of got to get silly with it. You try to get them to be a little, to get into the meditational part, but they're just there to play, and that's okay too. My son, he particularly is into yoga. One time I brought him to a yoga class and he tied the yoga strap around his head like Rambo in a warrior two. And then he fell asleep and started snoring during my class. So that was his experience of yoga and he wasn't super into it. But I my thing is if a parent leads by example, if they just do the work and the kid
Hmm.
sees when the kid is ready, when the kid is struggling with life, when the kid is looking for something, you know, then they know, like, you know what, I remember that. I remember my mom eating healthy. My son's not vegetarian. I remember my mom being vegetarian. I remember these things. So like if he ever needs to tap
Hmm.
into it, he has this little tool bag set aside, you know,
Yes.
and if he ever wants to use it, it's there. And if he doesn't, then he can join me in the gym.
That is true. Oh my God. I don't know if we can join you in the gym, but yes. That is great. I love this. I love that yoga can be an actual tool for everyone that needs, whether it's physical support, mental support, and spiritual. It's kind of
Yeah.
like an all around experience that anyone can do, whether they're young, older, or you know, any
Yeah.
age. Yeah, I love that. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us about yoga?
Um, Yoga changed my life. Yoga propelled me, pushed me into everything else that I'm doing. So it changed me mentally, physically, and spiritually. And you hear it all the time, like you think it's some sort of gimmick, but
Mm,
it's not. Yoga, and it's a lifestyle.
right.
It's a lifestyle. And I see so many people change in front of me that it's been so rewarding. So if someone's thinking of becoming a yoga teacher, do it. And even if you decide to not teach after you do a training, you'll still deepen your own personal practice. And it's just a way to give back to other people. And you could teach free yoga, you could teach at a yoga studio, or just deepen your own personal practice. But yoga, it's everything. It's physical, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's the whole package, right? And so I mean, it's my passion. I love it. I love teaching it. I love seeing people's lives transform. I love seeing people's practices grow and them getting excited about it. It's funny because my son, he's always saying, Mom, you have a friend for everything. I have a mechanic. I have I have all these things, and all these people that come to my classes, they feel so thankful and grateful for what I do, and I feel like it's so easy what I do. It comes easy to me. But I mean, maybe I'm just meant to do it. I don't know, but they all just want to give back to me. And so this exchange of even just them being happy to see me and want to give me a hug or a smile, or they send me a DM. Like the other day I went to the studio and someone had a bath bomb for me, and like I was so excited to take my bath with my little bath bomb.
I love that.
So there's a community to join. It's
Mhm.
it's a tribe. And so if you're lonely, if you have no friends, if you want to change your body, if you want to change your mind, if you want to tap into your spirit, it's all there. It's all there for you.
I love that. Thank you so much, Teresa, for joining us today. This conversation was
Absolutely.
amazing. very educational. It was great. Thank you for having us. For
Thank you.
everyone that might want to reach out to you for any training or any other questions, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram, the Iron Yogini. You could find me on Facebook, Theresa Devi Yoga, DEVI. Or they can reach out to you and you can hand them over to me. But
Yes.
yeah, I'd be excited to meet anybody and take anybody on. It's my
Yeah.
passion. I love doing it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll definitely put all her information on the show notes. And thank you for everyone for listening to us today. If you need any more information about me, you can look me up at Alex Valgood in Instagram or Facebook, or you can go to my website at alexvalgood.com. Thank you for listening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.